Hello friends, let's look at one more niche today, which is looking very profitable for a niche website. This is not a micro niche. I still call it as a niche because you can still, if you drill down further, you may be able to find few more micro niches under this particular niche. But why I picked up this particular niche is when I was doing some analysis, I did find that there are a lot of topics and keywords associated with this particular niche that are still untapped. Still, the competition is pretty low, and there is an excellent opportunity to rank well if somebody can build a quality website. Okay, so after seeing all those data points, I felt like I think this may be worth to try creating a good website related to this particular niche. Okay, so let's look into the details. I request all of you, if you are not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to the channel and also provide your valuable feedback in the comment section. Okay, so let's look into the details. The niche that I am talking about is garden. As I said, right, this is not surprising niche to most of you. You must have heard about garden, but let's look at some of the interesting data points related to this particular niche. Okay, let's analyze further how the keywords and the data is coming up for this particular niche. So if you see, the keyword itself is looking very hard, and the search volume is also okay, it's looking good, but not, I think, anything extraordinary. But when we did further analysis, the fact, some of the data points are very interesting. Okay, so as we typically do, let's do a 5-factor validation for this particular micro niche as well. The first one is the competition, or we can call it as a difficulty. Let's look at how is the difficulty for this particular niche. So though the garden itself is looking super hard, let's further drill down. Let's look at all the keywords associated to that. I actually want to analyze all the keyword ideas related to this particular niche, because there will be a lot of associated topics which may not have exactly garden as the keyword, but very much associated to that. Okay, now if you see here, right, the olive garden has about a 1.8 million search volume. So before going to search volumes, let's look at the keyword difficulty. So what we typically do is we look at the difficulty less than 20s. Okay, so for the people who are not very familiar with these technical terms, KD stands for keyword difficulty. Lesser would be better. So less the difficulty, easier to rank. Okay, so because we are talking about creating a new website, I always suggest pick the keywords that are having the keyword difficulty less than 20. Let's apply this particular filter. Okay, so you can see here there are about 150k plus keywords. Okay, which are having the difficulty less than 20. So that indicates that there are enough of keywords associated with this particular micro niche with less competition as less difficulty. Okay, so the first validation is passed for this particular niche. Now one more additional input what I want to give you here is, see, there are few more keywords that you should actually add to this particular niche when you do further analysis. That is like a plants, garden accessories, home garden, balcony gardens, garden, something like that, because the plants are very closely associated with this particular niche, and also pesticides. Okay, so some of those keywords must be appearing here, but not necessarily all. So when you do your further analysis, you may want to add those keywords as well. Then this volume will go further more. That means there will be even more keywords with lesser difficulty and competition associated to this particular micro niche. Okay, now let's look at the volumes. Okay, that's what our second criteria is. So what we want to see is, uh, do we have enough of search volumes for the keywords associated with this particular micro niche? Let's look at that. So the field that we look for this is volume. So again, for the benefit of the people who are not very familiar with these technical terms, volume stands for number, on an average number of searches for this particular keyword. Okay, higher would be better. Higher means there are more people searching for this particular keyword or topic, then that's a perfect candidate to go ahead and write the content. Okay, now if you see, we already filtered the difficulty less than 20, and if you see the volume for those particular keywords, right, is excellent numbers are there. Is okay, 187k, 85k, 71k, 41k, 37k. But you may not be able to write content for each of this topic, but this is an indicative. For example, if you want to write something on the bamboo garden, or if you want to write something on probably what is that, let me pick one more, nature's garden or winter garden. Okay, aero garden. So if you see that volumes are pretty good, you may want to further filter out when you actually go for the content creation, but this indicates that there are significant volumes for the keywords associated with this particular micro niche, for which the competition and the difficulty is less. Okay, so that's second validation is also passed for this. Now third one, what we also look for is scope for content. What it means is, there may be enough of the difficulty may be less for some of the keywords associated with this particular niche. Volumes may also looking good, but we want to ensure that there are enough number of topics to write when you actually create a website. So typically the thumb rule is, you should target to create about 100 pieces of content for any website to really see the success. That's what the guideline I give. For some niches, maybe it may be little less. For some micro niche, it may be little more. But you should always look at least minimum of about 100 potential topics to write related to that particular niche. Otherwise, you have a higher risk. So what we normally do is, we already filtered for keyword difficulty less than 20, but I always suggest you also filter for the keywords which are having about a volume of about a 500 or more. That means the keywords that have about average monthly searches of about a 500 or more. So let's look at that. Okay, let's apply this filter as well and see how many keywords will come as a result. So you can see it here, right? 3870. These are the number of keywords associated with this particular niche, having the difficulty less than 20, but volumes are more than 500 on an average in a month. So more than 500 volumes, that means you can very much target some traffic from that the search volume. Okay, so technically what it means is, you can write articles related to all these 3870 keywords if you are going to start a website related to this particular niche. But don't go by that, because as we have already saw, right, there will be lot of keywords, because this is a very generic niche, very commonly known niche. So there will be lot of keywords which for which you may not be able to write the article. For example, you can say China garden. I'm not sure, I think how many of you can write Eden's garden. You may not be able to write article related to that. Okay, so panda garden, so you may want to skip a few. So even if you take about a 10% of it, okay, only if you pick a 10% of these keywords also, still you have about a 387 keywords with difficulty less than 20 and volumes more than 500. So this gives a confidence, this gives an indication that yes, you will be able to find enough number of topics with low difficulty, decent search volumes to write the content. Also, when you actually start writing the content related to this particular niche, you will be able to find few more topics related to plants and pesticides and all those things. Okay, so overall it is giving a very positive indication related to scope for the content. There is enough scope to write many pieces of content related to this particular niche. That's what this validation is meant for. This is done. This is also good. Okay, now fourth one. Oh, okay, this is the most important proof or reference site. So typically what happens is, when I analyze any of the established or known niche like garden or kitchen, or hobby, something like that. Though I find these keywords with good volume and low difficulty, most of the times I fail to find any website with low domain authority that is performing well. So why I actually picked garden, my niche today, to explain to you guys is, I found sites with low domain authority and written content on this particular niche and doing excellently well. Then I felt like, okay, there is an opportunity. That means there is a still lot of potential in this particular niche if somebody can produce a quality content. Okay, let's look at that particular reference sites. Here it is. Okay, smartgardenguide.com. If you can see, the almost all the content related to that is about the plants and garden and all that, and the site is also very basic. You won't see any extraordinary design and all that. Okay, let's look at the data analysis related to this particular micro niche. Go to the same href tools and then look at the site details through Site Explorer. Okay, so whenever I do this particular analysis, I look at this particular parameter dr. Again, for the benefit of the people who are not very familiar with these technical terms, dr stands for domain rating. In other way, this is also called as DA, domain authority, domain rating or domain authority. Higher means it is a well established site. Lower means it is still relatively new or unestablished in the search world. That's what it indicates. For example, if you are starting a new website today, your site's DR is going to be 0. Okay, Facebook's DR is 100. Okay, so when you actually look for a reference site related to this particular niche, you will be able to find lot of sites with high DR. That means those are very old sites, established. So you shouldn't take them as reference and should get excited by looking those sites, because those are already established and their credentials already proven in the search world. So if there is some content published on those sites, it will easily rank. But what you should look for is, are there new sites not at well established site still performing well related to this particular micro niche? That's what basically indication for you that you can still go ahead and write the content and still see success. Okay, now if you see DR 18 is not so high, not again very low also. It starts with 0, so that means you may have to put little bit effort here, but still very much achievable. Okay, so that means if you start a website today and write a good quality content and do a basic digital marketing, I think within a 6 months of time you will be able to see some good results. That's what this indicates. Now what really attracted me is the data related to that. You can see here 35,000 keywords are ranking for this particular website, though the domain authority is so low. And more importantly, you can see the traffic here. Per month, on an average, there are 40,000 search happening, topics related to this particular website. These two are very attractive. These are the indicators that this particular site is doing pretty well. Okay, so our fourth validation, proof or references, is also there. There is a website that is built on this particular micro niche and performing pretty well, even though with the domain authority, domain rating is so low. And the last one what we validate is earning potential. Does this site has this particular niche has enough of earning potential? Because at the end of the day, we create the sites to earn some money, right? Okay, so typically I validate it from two different perspectives. I look at the CPC again. For the people who are not very familiar with this technical term, CPC stands for cost per click. Higher would be better. Okay, take that. Now if you see CPC $1.2, 1.6, 1.9, this is good. Okay, On an average, this is about a maybe a average comes at about 1 point. 1 point is good CPC. Okay, but the most important validation I do is whatever the low domain authority website that I picked up, how is the earning potential of this particular website? That gives the practically how much success a new website owner can see. Okay, let's look at that. So just few minutes back we analyzed the data points related to this particular website is right. So there is one more attribute here. If you see, there is something called search value. So what it means is whatever the traffic this particular website is generating as of now, if you properly monetize it, then this particular website has a potential of earning about $14,000 per month. That's what it is, 14.1k traffic value on an average. This particular website has a potential to earn this much if you can properly monetize. Properly monetize means you can use AdSense, you can use affiliate links, and you can do some other, I think, third party affiliates and all that. There are multiple ways of monetizing it. Okay, so but this is normally a the number that is well optimized. I I I always consider this is basically practically may not be able to achieve 100% of it. So let's take a very conservative number. Let's take only a 10% of it. Okay, even if you consider 10% of it, still the site will have about a $1,400 of earning potential per month for a new website. That's excellent number, right? It's a decent money to start with. Then as and when you gain traction, right? For example, if you also get the same in domain authority of about 18, 19, and then if you publish more number of articles, and if you get some traction, then you will also be able to earn more or less same money that it is showing here. If not same, at least I think 50% of it, right? 50% also 7,000. But to start with, let us take only 10%. When you are starting a new website, if you are able to compile about a 50-60 articles and do a basic digital marketing, let us assume that 10% of this, that itself is a $1,400 per month, which is a good amount of money. Okay, so the fifth factor is also passed. So we verified everything. There are enough number of keywords with low competition and difficulty. The search volumes was very good for most of the keywords with low difficulty, and we have seen that there are about 3,000 plus topics are there for to write the content. Even if you take 10% of it, there are still 300 plus potential topics are there. And then we've also verified a site with low domain authority, low domain ranking, doing pretty well on this particular niche. And finally, we also verified there is a very good earning potential if you start a website based for related to this particular niche. Okay, so that's all for today. If you have a passion of actually doing gardening and love for the greenery and plants and all that, I think there is an excellent opportunity. You can organically create a lot of very valuable content. Go ahead and start. I'm sure, I think you will see very good success very soon. Okay. I request once again all of you, if you are not subscribed to channel, please subscribe to my channel, and also please provide your valuable feedback in the comment section. I will continue my research, and as and when I find a good niche or micro niche, I will create a video and share with all of you. Thank you. Bye.